Are you thinking about moving to Oregon and the Corvallis area is high on your list? Well, we've moved over 400 families in the Willamette Valley, and we can help you too. We reached out to our clients and friends and said, hey, if you're willing to go on camera and tell your Oregon story, we'll honor your time by donating to a local nonprofit, Jackson Street Youth Services. About 15 of our friends responded enthusiastically, so let's hear what these people have to say about their move here and their life in the area. We'll do our best to show you places on the screen when they're mentioned, and there'll be links in the description below. Hey folks, thank you for tuning in. I'm Michael Kreslowski with Team K Realty out of Remax in Corvallis, and we're joined today by Linda. Linda, really appreciate you being here. And folks, there's going to be if you're super perceptive, a slight phenomenon that you'll notice where I'm going to be asking Linda some questions as we go about her experience living here, and I'll be surprised by some of the answers. And that's going to be different than a lot of these other ones because I didn't help Linda buy her house. We're connected because of my friend, mentor, business partner, who I was helping before she passed away a number of years ago. And I don't have intimate knowledge of Linda's story and circumstance, which is why this will be that much more fun for me as well.
All right.
Yeah. Linda, if you'd kick this off for us, when did you move to Oregon, or were you born and raised?
I moved to Oregon in 1980. I moved from Everett, Washington for more sunshine.
For more sunshine.
And we have an equal amount of rain, but we get it on fewer days.
Gotcha. Okay. So you've been here for a while, and I love that you said you moved here for more sunshine, because one of the things that people are often concerned about is if they can handle the weather here, which I think is lovely.
It rains a lot in the winter, but that's why we have this lush greenness that we do. And this is early January, and I have daffodils blooming in my front yard.
Absolutely. When you moved here from Everett, were there other places that you were thinking about moving to? I know that was a while ago, but
Yeah.
Do you remember what the list consisted of?
I really hadn't considered moving other places. I had lived here before in 73 for a year with my ex-husband when he was in school here.
Okay.
And I remembered really liking it.
Okay. Excellent. So you moved back here.
Yeah, I guess I did.
Love it. Are you one of the folks who moved here, really loved it, and then convinced other family or friends to move here too? It seems like that's a common phenomenon.
No, I haven't been able to do that. In fact, my older son hates it here. He doesn't like the rain. He lives in Eastern Oregon.
So Eastern Oregon, if you're not yet familiar with the difference there, would be high desert. Eastern Oregon's climate
Drier, hotter in the summer, colder in the winter.
Very different, like snowy,
Yep.
Snowy in the winter, like skiing, all the snow sports, and hot summers, whereas we're mild year round. Oh yeah. Do you like my drone shot of the day? This is just a view of Mary's Peak, showing a nice overcast fall day with a sunset.
Nice.
I got a different one of these for every video we're doing.
Oh, cool.
Why not?
Oh.
So that's also good to know. So your son's, this isn't my cup of tea.
Yeah.
He likes the high desert.
Yeah. And my younger son lives here and teaches at Oregon State University.
Love it.
He grew up in town and
love it. So what are some of your favorite things about being not just in Corvallis, but in the Mid-Valley? You mentioned your son's at the university. Was that a part of your decision-making process as well? Were you looking for a university town?
No, but I've grown to really appreciate it in a lot of ways, except for the fireworks and the noise with the dogs. But I really like what the university adds to in terms of the people that come here and some of the events that they have. I tell people that I really like living in Corvallis because in an hour and a half, you can be in Portland or Eugene or at the coast. And in a little bit longer, you can be in the high desert in Bend, but you don't have to live in any of those. You don't have to live in the big city. You don't have to live in the fog on the beach.
Yeah.
You can live where it's really comfortable, but go there easily.
Yeah. So you really like being centrally located.
I do.
And if you're watching this video, you've probably heard me say that if you break down the word Corvallis, heart of the valley, speaking to that central location.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And the parks here, and that's part of what the university offers is the McDonald Dunn Forest.
Tell us a little bit more about that.
Oh,
absolutely.
There is, I don't know the statistics. I don't know the acreage and all that, but I know that you can go almost anywhere around town and find a hike.
Yes.
And it can be flat or it can be up in the hills. Most of it is off leash. I have border collies and I train them so they're very well behaved. I can go anywhere with my dogs, and we live in South Corvallis, which when I moved here was really the bad part of town because it was the other side of the river. But what people didn't realize is that the lots are bigger. I think the people are friendlier. We have a wonderful neighborhood. We live really close to Crystal Lake Sports Park, which is 80 acres of soccer and baseball field, and it's off leash all winter.
Yes.
And the other end of that you walk through to is Willamette Park, which is off leash all year. It also has soccer fields and playground. Just the parks are incredible.
That's one of my favorite things about being here as well, is you've just got instant access to the outdoors.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. And my husband teaches cycling. He cycles a lot. And there's all kinds of places he can go.
so when you say he teaches cycling,
Mhm.
I know that I've seen what I assume are like teachers, I figured school teachers, like showing the students in elementary schools, like how to bike and commute. Is it sort of
He
thing?
volunteers with that program, go through the schools.
Okay.
But he teaches privately and he teaches safe cycling. And he does a summer couple weeks of camps with kids through Parks and Rec.
I love it.
The Parks and Rec program, just we taught ballroom dance with him for 16 years.
You did ballroom dance with them.
Yeah,
too.
beginning ballroom dance.
Nice. If you did beginning ballroom dance for 16 years, you've probably got some skill to your step. Yeah.
Used to.
Nice.
The body ages.
With the bicycle components, yeah, we don't know each other well,
Right.
But for people who watch a lot of my videos, I moved here because of the national bicycle friendly ranking that Corvallis had. That was why I moved here from Florida.
Nice. So my husband is very active in the transportation aspect of the city and working with the city to make more bike lanes and make it more safer for bikes.
Love it. They're doing a phenomenal job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's getting better all the time.
And there are some YouTube videos that we've already made that I'll put links to in the description, because we've actually got some videos that are just about some of the highlights you're mentioning. We didn't queue this up or anything. So I'll link to Park Vallis, Hike Vallis, and Bike Vallis in the description if you want to watch those specific ones.
Cool. You
Yeah.
can send me the links too.
You can tell me if we did a good job. Yeah.
All right.
So you're really enjoying being in Southtown, Corvallis, as we call it. And you made a remark about how it had a perception issue back when. I think we should talk about that, because Southtown is lovely and it's got a lot going for it. The thing that I think gave it a perception issue was that the zoning is a little bit different than the north side of town. And
Yeah.
please do chime in if you
We have no sidewalks on our street.
unimproved street.
And we fight that. Anytime they whisper about wanting to put sidewalks in, I don't want to lose half my front yard.
Gotcha. Okay.
But in general, the lots are bigger. Our taxes have been lower because it's, quote, not as desirable, but it's just lovely and it really has a good atmosphere. And I've lived there the whole time I've been in Corvallis. All the houses I lived in that I rented are now no longer existing, been torn down, which tells you my income at the time when I moved here. But we actually bought a house in 84, I think it was, and it was pretty much at the bottom of the market. We bought a duplex and have since remodeled it into a house.
Gotcha.
Which is something I think people should think about, because it's all one level. We can age in place.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have stairs. We have a large lot. We have a lot of bedrooms. And we did foster care with the farm home for a number of years.
Yeah.
Boys from there.
Love it.
And I've got a really nice studio. Participate in Southtown Art Walk.
I was going to bring that up. Okay. I wonder if I've been to your studio in the Southtown Art Walk.
You could be. Could have been. I make blank journals and I do eco-print scarves.
Oh my gosh. Okay. This is so funny.
And I have 2 border collies.
I still have footage on my phone right now from the Southtown Art Walk, not that just happened a month ago, but from the year prior.
Mm-hmm.
And it's on my list of YouTube videos to make. I'm actually going to try to publish that before this one even goes live, because we've got a bunch of art related videos.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Perfect.
Yeah, and there are a lot of artists. We had 13 studios with multiple artists in every studio.
Yeah.
And all within like a 1.5 mile walking distance.
Yeah. The arts community here is one of the many facets of this area that I just find to be just so great.
Yeah.
We've got local artists co-op. We have multiple art walks. There's a downtown Corvallis art walk, CAW, right?
Yeah.
And then there's also these seasonal art walks like the Southtown Art Walk that I feel like happened in early December.
Yeah, early December, first Sunday in December.
And then there's
a North Corvallis one that just got started. That's midsummer, I think.
That makes sense. I feel like I went to the North one walking around outside with my parents a year or two ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The other thing I love about living here is the weather and the gardening. I also participate in Garland's Art and Wine in the Garden, and that
Love
happens
that.
the end of July.
Yes.
But we have 18 raised beds in our backyard, and that's just the vegetable garden. We've got the flower gardens around too.
So this is such a good example of Southtown living. I think of Southtown as having, and I'm misusing this word, but just this really, in a good way, fun, hippie vibe to it. I know I don't look like I fit that because I dress to be a real estate agent, but it's just pretending to be fancy. We've got in Southtown some great art murals, lots of gardening, chicken coops. There's even a tour to chicken coop in the springtime, right? That's the kind of vibe that I really love about Southtown.
Yeah. And we trade, our neighbors behind us have chickens, and my husband makes all our bread. So we trade bread for eggs.
You've got like neighborhood toad in the hole ready to go there.
Yeah. And we have another neighbor who, advertised on the list serve for South Corvallis that he had figs and he was willing to trade for a bunch of different things. So we traded him some bread, and now he wants to buy bread from my husband. And I got some figs to dry, which I love figs.
Yeah.
And there is a listserv.
Yeah.
And there's a gal who used to be secretary to the city manager 30 years ago who's very active, and she keeps it going. And
I love it. See, that's the kind of sense of community that even though it's city of Corvallis, it really just feels like it's a big town to me.
Yeah.
This is not a big bustling metropolis. You've really got that kind of connection with your immediate neighbors and neighborhood in general.
If you want it.
If you want it.
On next door the other day, there was a woman complaining that she'd lived in her neighborhood for 40 years and didn't know any of her neighbors. And my response to her was, someone has to start it.
I know. When I hear that, I'm like, that might be your fault, not the neighborhood. Yeah.
Another gal responded, cookies work really well. And I'm like, make up an excuse to get together.
Yeah.
Because people here are friendly.
Yes.
It really is a wonderful, friendly town.
I feel the same way. Paradise is subjective, as we often say here, but I feel the same way. Let's go back to gardening for a moment.
Okay.
So I have a little bit of imposter syndrome, as you'll see with some of these other videos too, because I love talking about gardening and how amazing it is to grow everything here. But I don't really have time to do it myself. But gardening is amazing here. We've got a half-hour-long video called Garden Vallis that our team member Noelle and I put together earlier this year that we're very proud of. We put a lot of work into that. It was really fun. So tell us a little bit more about some of the things that you love growing here, because that's a common thing that people want to know about, is what works.
I do eco printing on silk, mainly making scarves.
Okay.
And I have a cascara tree in my backyard. I have a vitex in my front. I have a Japanese maple in my front yard that I use for all that. Like I said earlier, I have daffodils in my front lawn.
Now,
and the early ones are up now, and I just took a picture of one, that's blooming with some more about to come in the backyard. And it's every year. And last year we had the ice storm about a week from now.
Yeah.
And we were in ice for a week, but the daffodils survived. They just perked right up after it was all done. We can grow the bulbs. We can grow almost any vegetable you want. I do a lot of trees. When the animals plant trees for me too. One year, I think it was 2 years ago, I counted every filbert and maple and oak tree that I pulled up that they had planted for me, and it was over 300.
You had 300 volunteers in your yard?
Volunteers.
Yeah.
Over the course of the season, and it blew me away because I was picturing our it's about a quarter of an acre, not quite, with 300 trees. And I was like, what?
The city's on the way down to your house right now to designate it as a forest.
Yeah. Yeah.
And for reference, as we're filming this, it's early January. The date doesn't matter. It's something like January 7th or 8th,
7th
right?
or 8th, I think.
So, and it's, and you're talking about bulbs blooming in your yard right now.
Yeah. And it's 40 to 50 degrees. We're starting to get some cold nights now. We got a hard frost night before last, and that was our really first hard frost.
Yeah.
But I'm still pulling carrots out of the garden, beets out of the garden. I planted some brassicas, some broccoli and cauliflower, but the bugs are really enjoying those.
Okay.
Because when you get good greens, you get good bugs too.
But good winter.
But good winter crops. Yeah. I pulled parsnips out. I made some borscht and all of it, except the potatoes were out of the garden because we've eaten up all our potatoes already.
Love it.
So yeah, we can really supplement. And we've got an incredible farmer's market here. during the summer, clear into the fall. And now I think the one indoors out at the fairgrounds is starting. There's also, I don't know in your thing about gardening in Corvallis, if you mentioned the public library.
No,
Because
tell
the
me what
Sustainability Coalition has programs all year, like one a month, or sometimes they're more often on gardening topics. The next one is next week, and it's on growing herbs.
Love it.
The last one was on growing winter vegetables and how to store them. And that was a couple weeks ago.
So that's through the Sustainability Coalition of Corvallis. Assuming I can find an easy link, we'll show it on the screen. We'll put stuff on the screen as we talk too.
Yeah. The Sustainability Coalition does a lot. I'm involved with the water aspect of it. I don't know the exact name, but there's a fellow who does a lot of planting, and they're planting a bunch of native reed type plants along some of the little streams that they're helping recover. And we planted 10 maples, two or three down at Lily Park in South Corvallis, 3 more over at Avery Park by where they're now recuperating, getting the train out of the water.
Yeah, that was an interesting news headline just a couple of days ago. There was a train that derailed by Avery Park. I saw the crane pulling a car out this morning.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they've got a crane set up.
Okay.
Yeah. So maybe they'll put this derailed car behind the Georgia Pacific locomotive car that's in Avery Park that the kids just climb on. I don't know what the plan is. Maybe that's how that one got there. Yeah. Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I got a text message the other day, something about train derailment, avoid the area. I was like, what?
Yeah, my husband got that too, so we went rubbernecking and walked over.
Of course. Yeah.
With the dogs. I actually got a pretty good picture of it.
Okay. Now, Linda, you mentioned before we started the video that you take advantage of a great volunteer opportunity in town as well.
Yes.
And we have a lot of folks that want to move here for things like the university or to raise their kids in the schools, but we have a lot of folks that also want to move here because they want to move here to live here in retirement and they want volunteer opportunities. Would you mind sharing a little bit about the volunteering that you do?
Not at all. I work at the South Corvallis Food Bank, and I don't work with clients because I like doing mindless stuff. So I go in and I do stocking the shelves on Monday before clients come in, and then on Fridays I stock in preparation for their Saturday open hours.
Excellent.
But there are opportunities there to help publicize. There are opportunities to stock the shelves. There's opportunities to work with clients. And like I was telling you, there's opportunities to work at the animal shelter has a thrift shop. There's opportunities there. There's a library. There, Jackson Street Youth Center that you were talking about. And my husband and I did foster care for the Children's Farm Home many years ago and had boys that were learning how to live on their own. They were 17, about to age out of the system and needed to know how to do stuff.
Absolutely.
And so we worked with those boys, and that's when we learned duplex into a house, because we tried having the boys in the other end, but they needed a little more supervision.
As they often do.
Yeah, teenagers. Yeah.
That's outstanding. I love that. Yeah.
And for me, I can walk over to the food bank. That's when I need to, all summer I walk over.
Okay. So that's in Southtown, and that's been a big cause for you. Jackson Street Youth Shelter, as you mentioned, and we nodded at the camera, this actual project, this YouTube project, doing interviews with people about their lives in the area, this is a fundraiser of sorts for Jackson Street Youth Shelter. That's how I incentivized, I'm told, don't say the word bribed, but that's how I incentivized people who normally don't want to be on camera to be willing to come down and do
That's the reason I came down to do it, because I really think that teenage kids need all the help they can get. I was raised to be a homemaker, and I was blessed enough to find a man who appreciated that. So I was able to stay home with my kids once I moved down here. My older one was 8 when I moved down here. But I feel that almost anybody can raise a baby, but it really takes a parent to raise a teenager.
Gotcha.
And they need parents at home. I was home.
Love it.
With my kids. Yeah, it was great.
Another thing that's really fun about Southtown, I know I might be going all over the place there, but we're just having a conversation here. I love the food co-op in town, First Alternative Foods Co-op. And that's a totally different conversation than the food bank, right?
Oh, yes. It's a store.
This is a store, right?
Yeah. We can walk out our back gate, walk across the field and path, and we're at the co-op, which is nice to have it for our closest grocery store.
So in Southtown, it's the only grocery store at the moment.
Yes.
Which I do feel like is a little bit of a mismatch because Southtown's got some more accessible housing, but the co-op, even though I love the co-op, my wife used to work there, is a little bit more expensive as a grocery store. So most people, and you probably don't do all of your shopping at the co-op, for example.
No, we do our monthly discount.
You get your owner's sale day. I know my co-op number by heart.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know mine.
So that's been a fun thing about living in Southtown
Yes.
as well.
When I first moved to town, I lived in a house that was right next to the railroad tracks by the co-op there. And I noticed the other day that the house is gone. My house. But I could walk over to the co-op, and it wasn't as in then, and we didn't have Winco with all the bulk items, and nobody else had bulk items. So I did almost all my shopping there, and on food stamps. I was a single parent with my son at the time. On food stamps, I fed my friends a lot. I bought almost all my basic stuff at the co-op, and I made my own bread. I was very thrifty, and I could eat very well on food stamps.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think I could do that shopping at the co-op, but still, we go there for a lot of stuff. We are non-dairy, and we can find better non-dairy foods there.
The co-op has a lot of local, organic, vegan friendly, all very allergen aware.
Yeah,
all kinds of
we
good
now
stuff.
have a daughter-in-law who's vegetarian. Look for more foods there.
Love it. Let's see. When you have someone maybe who's visiting from out of the area, friend, family member, what are some of the things that you like to do with them to show off this lovely land that you get to call home?
I almost always invite them to go for dog walks with us.
Okay.
And depending on what their interest is, it can be the level paved path down at Crystal Lake, or it can be up in McDonald Forest somewhere. Taking them to the coast is another big one.
Yep.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, the Dark Side Theater.
Let's talk about both of those things a little bit more. So when you like to be a tourist at the coast, taking someone with you, what does your day on the coast look like?
It usually involves a lunch at some restaurant. We like seafood down in Newport, down on the, what is it, Bayfront? What is it called?
The old Bayfront?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we like to go down there, and then time on the beach for the dogs.
So like Nye Beach?
Yeah, Nye Beach or any beach with a lot of sand.
Okay.
And what else do we do? Yeah, that's
good stuff right there.
Mostly what we do in walking around town, whatever happenings are happening at the time.
Sure. Do you ever stay at the coast like overnight?
We used to. We don't as much anymore. We did our honeymoon at a motel on the beach, and for years we went back there for our anniversary. Now we have a van, a small van. We used to camp in the back of a little pickup. I got too old for that. I couldn't crawl in and out anymore. But now we have an old Dodge Ram van. And so we take that, and 4th of July and New Year's, when there's fireworks, we head over to the coast to a national park or a state park where there's no fireworks allowed.
That way your dogs aren't bothered.
Yep, exactly.
Great excuse to go to a park.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. It is. And we go up on a couple of weeks. We're going down to Eugene for a thing at the Holt Center.
Holt Center's a big performing arts center.
Big performing arts, yeah. Huge performing arts. But their acoustics are pretty good. We're going to go see Stomp.
Stomp, nice.
And my father-in-law used to take us to some of the Shakespeare plays there.
Love it.
And we're also going to see a production here at the Majestic Theater here in Corvallis.
Performing Arts Center right up the street here.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So come to think of it, you also mentioned that you like the Dark Side Cinema in town.
It's alternative films. They have a silent film once a month. They have a silent film. We just saw Flow.
I haven't seen that
Oh,
yet. Okay.
Oh, it's so different, but it's so good.
Yeah.
I just recommended it to my niece and nephew.
So we do have we have one big conventional movie theater in Corvallis, the Carmike 12.
Yeah.
And that's normal movie theater. Dark Side Cinema is like a small independent one in downtown, above the book bin, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think I saw a Monty Python movie there last time.
Could be.
And do they have a thing about being really sarcastic, or did it used to be that way?
There's the entrance fee.
The entrance
fee?
Okay.
If you're a student, there's a certain entrance fee. And if you say you're a student of life, it triples.
Okay.
So yeah, he can be a little sarcastic.
Okay. Not in a bad way. I'm just
No,
like,
in a
I'm like, I think this is
hilarious,
part of the shtick or something.
yeah, in a hilarious way.
Okay.
And the Book Bin is a fantastic bookstore.
Yes. We've got some great local business downtown.
Yeah.
I love that about this area.
Yeah, we used to have a wonderful quilt store. I taught there for 20 years.
I want to say which one was that, but if it's not there anymore, then we don't need
Yeah.
to give them free advertising. But
Yeah.
there is a really good, I would say, fiber arts scene in the Mid Valley in general.
Yes.
There's a shop in Philomath. I know a lot of friends of mine that do quilting go to Salem and Lebanon as well to get quilting work done. It's so funny.
And we also have Lynn Benton Community College that has a lot of adult education. Tonight I'm starting a beginning knitting class. I've knit.
You made this?
I made this
Love it.
before I knew, and I had a friend finish it for me. But I don't really know the basics. So through Lynn Benton, I'm taking a beginning quilting class, and a friend is taking it with me.
We've got excellent adult ed opportunities here. My wife has this ongoing set of drawing and painting classes that she does, and a good friend of ours does as well. It's a really fun part of the community.
Yeah, I've taken a couple of watercolor classes, and it's fun.
I'm really curious now if the footage that I have from the Southtown Art Walk was actually in part of your place. It probably was.
It could be. I vaguely, I think I remember you coming and asking if you could.
I always ask
film it.
permission. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll find out. Some of these videos take forever to come to fruition. That was one of them. Yeah. Oh, I love it. Thank you. I appreciate you sharing some of the things that you love about the area. If you have a recommendation for people who are coming here to visit, what might that be? If someone's going to be here for, let's say, a long weekend because they're thinking about moving to the Mid-Valley, what are some of the things that you would tell them to scope out while they were here?
Check out the recreational opportunity. Look up what OSU has to offer, what Parks and Rec has to offer, what LBCC has to offer. Go to the parks. It depends on what a person is interested in. We had a couple, we're on the Quaker Traveling Directory. My husband was raised Quaker. He was raised in Eugene.
Sure.
And so we had a couple who came and stayed with us for a week back east who wanted to move out here. And we convinced them to move, and they moved to South Corvallis. They just recently sold their home there and moved into living.
It's a charming area. I'm reminiscing right now about some folks that we helped buy a half-acre house in Southtown, Corvallis, actually on Viewmont. And they got just in-city living with some phenomenal space outside. And that is, of course, part of the value proposition of Southtown.
Yeah.
There's some great lots there. There's also some brand new construction with smaller lots, and that's a different lifestyle.
Yeah.
But
And there are a lot more apartments now. They're filling in with apartments.
So I don't know if it's a fair question to ask you since you've been here for so long, but do you have any impressions on the cost of living here compared to other areas? It's a question that comes up a lot. It's nice for people to hear from more than just me.
Yeah, it's hard to say because I know the cost of living is going up everywhere. But it does seem, and I hear from a lot of people, that the cost of living is high here.
Okay.
It's a little higher than the norm around. And even outlying cities are feeling that because people don't want to live in Corvallis. They want to live in Lebanon, Albany, or
Mid-Valley.
Yeah, stay in the area, but those prices, the housing prices in particular, are going up. When I look at the change in ours from when we bought it.
Oh, yeah. Well, you've been there for a few days, so
we've been there for 40
extra commas.
1 years now.
Yeah. And the stats that I see would, of course, reflect what you're saying there, which is that our cost of living is a little bit higher here than the surrounding areas. I don't feel like it's super expensive to live here. I feel like housing is the tricky part. I feel like the housing is a little bit more than other areas, but that other parts of living here, food, gas, utilities, are pretty normal.
Yeah. Yeah, I think they are. In fact, I think when we travel across the country, I'm really surprised at some of the prices and how high they are. So I don't think they're out of line. And I think you can still live here pretty cheaply. And I know one of the things that we just recently did last spring was we got solar panels.
Oh, you did?
And so we've been paying a little over $11 a month for our electricity all winter.
I look forward to saying the same.
It used to be up around 300.
Okay.
That's really helped us. And you can do things to live more cheaply.
So I love that you mentioned the solar too, because going back to the weather here, People are often afraid that there's not enough sunlight here.
Right.
Solar panels are totally viable. I hear this from people over and over. We sell
Yep.
homes with solar,
Yep.
tends to make them fly off the shelf. So
Yeah.
it's not like this
and days
is...
like today,
Yeah.
we're raking in electricity on days like today in the middle of early January, any of the sunny days. And I can tell when we are because I have a little solar fountain out in the backyard. And when I see it blurbing, I know that we're also taking in electricity for the house.
That's a fun indicator. I like that.
Yeah.
You probably have a phone app and the fountain you can see.
No phone app.
No phone app on
No
that one.
smartphone.
Okay.
That's one of the expenses that I haven't been able to do yet. I have a cell phone, but not a smartphone.
Okay. This might be stretching back a while since you've been here for a long time, but I like to ask people that in their life in Oregon, if there was ever a time when they had the aha moment of, oh, I did it. This is home. Do you know if you ever just had a turning point in that regard where you really recognized that feeling?
I don't think there was any big turning point regularly now when I look, because my husband and I are both retired and we were very frugal during our early years. We were able to pay cash when we bought the place because my husband had some money from grandparents and his parents loaned us the rest. So we've not had house payments, which has made a huge difference in our life. And that's partly why I could home and be a homemaker and he could be a part-time teacher. But I love the weather. I love being able to be outside gardening.
Yeah.
I have made a friend that lives nearby and he's in his early 50s. And he comes and I pay him well to help with the gardening. I've had a couple college students and there are always college students and always folks looking for work gardening. And he has a job, but it's part-time. Lives from there in South Corvallis.
Okay.
And it's wonderful because we have more acreage, a little more space than I can take care of. But I can be outside. I can go to the library. So there are many things I can do without it costing any money.
Yeah, that's true.
Which is really important, whether you're sitting where my husband and I are, was having enough, or whether you're struggling. When I was a single parent and living on welfare, we had enough. And you can do that here.
I love that you're willing to share your story with us today. I really appreciate this. And I know that it's going to be useful for people that are thinking about this area.
Yeah.
Because there's so much that they're worried about. And rightfully so. It's a big decision.
It's gotten to be a harder place to raise kids.
Okay. In what sense? What are you referring to as to say that?
Mostly the housing prices, I think.
Okay.
Once you can get beyond that, we have really good school.
Yeah.
And there's lots of stuff for kids to do through the library, through Parks and Rec. There's lots of inexpensive stuff. There's lots of outdoors for kids to do. Put away the phones and the screens and whatever. Think about that.
I think many of us do. Yeah.
I was raised without a TV. TV is a luxury. My kids were raised with very limited TV time. So they're very outdoors. My older son just got a job with Nature Conservancy.
Nice. No, I love it. Do you have, as we wrap up here, do you have any advice for people that are thinking about here?
I'd say come and check it out. If they can, come a couple different times of the year. There are many times of the year where if you don't like the weather, wait 20 minutes.
It's good advice.
Yeah. And come and stay for a week or so if you can.
Okay. When you mention to check out the different times of year with the weather, do you have a favorite month personally in that regard?
Favorite month? Oh, I like spring.
Okay.
I love spring. It can be wet. Last year was really wet, but things just start blooming. And I don't know, I like it all year. I don't care for the winter as much because I like light. I have SAD, seasonally affective disorder, so I sit in front of a SAD light for a half hour or so all year, every morning. But I'm able to have stuff in my garden that's blooming all year. I had a bouquet that I picked for Christmas out of my yard this year.
Love it.
And now the daffodils are starting.
So I think you're giving good advice there, going back to that. Check it out at different times of the year, if that's a possibility.
Yeah.
And spring is your favorite. And we do have very lush conditions here. The spring is wet. It'll rain on and off, but you get some just incredible scenery, beautiful skies, and
Green.
so green. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what we love about the area. Is there anything else that's on your mind that you'd like to share with people as we wrap up?
It's a great place to have dogs.
It is very dog friendly.
Very dog friendly.
A lot of great veterinary care because
Yep.
Oregon State is the land grant institution,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of dog friendly parks and hiking and walking.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love it. Linda, thank you so much. I appreciate you taking time to do this so that it can be a resource for other people. That means a lot to me.
Sure.
And I can't wait to see if you were part of the Southtown Art Walk footage that is
Yeah.
on my phone that really is finally getting to the top of the list there of like videos that we need to edit. It takes forever sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So, and folks, as we close out here, thank you for checking this video out as well. If you're new to the channel, I'd like to recommend that you see some of the other videos we've made that will link in the description below. We have narrated driving tours of neighborhoods in town and things, of course, like Dog Vallis, Park Vallis, Hike Vallis, Bike Vallis, Garden Vallis. We're trying to really give you guys resources that are along these lines, the kind of things that
Mhm.
you're looking for in terms of what your lifestyle would be like here. And we're never too busy for you. If you want to connect, just reach out and say hi, and we can hop on a call or a Zoom call, whatever works, and just talk with you about helping you pre-plan your visit or make the possible move. Because of course we're real estate agents, so what we actually do for a living is help people buy and sell homes. But this is an enormously fun part of that. And it's been a joy and a privilege to get to connect with you in the process.
And
Linda,
I think if you were mentored by Carla, you've got a good agent.
I learned from the best. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. And as we always say, bye for now.